All right, picture this, an economy completely split down the middle. A world where almost everything you could ever want is basically free, but the few things you actually need, they become so expensive you can't even imagine it. Well, that's not sci-fi. That's the world AGI is about to build. And today, we're going to dive deep into how artificial general intelligence is said to totally rewrite the rules of what anything is worth.
So, you're probably asking, how on earth does a split like that even happen? Well, it all boils down to this one single idea that frames this whole crazy shift, something we're calling the Great Price Divergence. And getting your head around this is absolutely key.
Yeah, it's really like a tale of two completely different economies. On one side, you've got everything that can be copied or automated. Think about it. Software, movies, music, even clothes designed by an AI. The cost to make more of it just collapses, heading straight towards zero. But then, on the other side, you have the stuff you can't just copy and paste, the physical, finite things. We're talking prime real estate, critical minerals dug out of the ground, and yep, even the raw computer power that runs the AI in the first place. The price of that stuff? It's going to go through the roof.
Okay, let's talk about the free part. How does that work? Well, it all kicks off with AI's almost magical power to just crush the cost of production. This is the engine, the driving force behind what's going to be a whole new era of abundance.
And look, this isn't some far-off future prediction. It's happening right now. Let's take farming, for example. You've got AI-powered drones that can fly over a field, spot a single weed, and target it with just a tiny drop of pesticide. We're talking surgical precision here. The result? They're slashing pesticide use by up to 90%. Just think about that for a second. That's a huge drop in costs, and it's amazing for the environment. All thanks to AI.
And it's not just on the farm, not by a long shot. In really complex fields like manufacturing or even fashion, AI is totally changing the game. It can run thousands of virtual prototypes, automate design, and what that does is shrink the time it takes to develop a new product by an incredible 25 to 70%. That means new stuff gets to market way faster and a whole lot cheaper.
So all of this is pushing us towards something economists have a name for, a zero marginal cost economy. Now that sounds complicated, but the idea is actually super simple. Once you've paid to build the AI or the robot, what does it cost to make one more of something? One more song, one more piece of code, one more 3D printed widget? The answer is basically nothing. It's practically zero. The machine just keeps working endlessly for free.
But, and this is a huge but, there's a twist. This amazing world of digital abundance, where everything is nearly free, it's all built on a physical foundation. A foundation that is incredibly hungry, with a massive growing appetite for raw materials and energy.
I mean, just look at the numbers from the International Energy Agency. They're pretty startling. The amount of electricity that data centers need is on track to more than double by 2030. Let me put that in perspective for you. Pretty soon, we're going to be using more electricity than the entire country of Japan just to power the world's AIs. Wow.
And to handle all that power, you need a ton of physical stuff. Building these giant AI data centers is kicking off this huge new demand for critical minerals. You've got things like gallium, which is essential for advanced computer chips, seeing a massive surge in demand. And even copper, which we already use everywhere, is facing huge new pressure just from this one industry.
Now here's where it gets really risky. Our supply chain for these minerals, it's incredibly fragile. The production is concentrated in just a few places. Get this, over 90% of a crucial mineral like gallium comes from just 3 countries. Think about that. One political problem, one natural disaster in just one of those places, and it could send a shockwave through the entire global AI industry. The whole thing is built on a knife's edge.
And this quote from JP Morgan really just brings it all home. It grounds this digital idea in hard, physical reality. Ready for this? Every single megawatt of AI data center capacity needs between 20 and 40 tons of copper. Tons! It's just a crazy reminder that this weightless world of AI is actually built on millions and millions of tons of stuff that has to be dug up, refined, and shipped all over the planet.
Okay, so this leads us to a massive, massive paradox, a real head-scratcher. If AGI and robots are going to do all the work, creating all this amazing, cheap stuff, who's actually going to have a job? And if no one has a job, who's going to have the money to buy any of it? This, right here, is the heart of the demand problem. If AIG just automates most human jobs, then the value of our labor could totally collapse. And that could trigger what economists call a demand collapse. You'd have this bizarre situation, an economy just overflowing with cheap goods and services, but almost nobody with the money in their pocket to actually buy them.
So what's the fix? Well, right now, two big ideas are really dominating the conversation. First up is the robot tax. The idea is simple. You tax the companies that replace people with AI and use that money to support the workers who lost their jobs. The other, maybe more radical idea, is universal basic income, or UBI. That's where every single citizen gets a regular paycheck from the government, no strings attached, just to make sure they can survive and keep the economy moving.
But, of course, neither of these is a magic bullet. They're both full of challenges. Critics, like folks at the American Enterprise Institute, are quick to point out that a full-blown UBI in the U.S. could cost something like $3 trillion a year. On top of that, some of the early trials have shown that it might make people less likely to work. And then there's the huge risk that you just trigger massive inflation or create another giant messy government bureaucracy.
All right, so let's bring this all together. We've got this explosion of abundance on one side, a crunch of scarcity on the other, and some really tough policy questions in the middle. Let's look at how this all combines to totally rewrite the rulebook on what value even means anymore. You can already see this playing out in the stock market, clear as day. The winners? They're the ones building the scarce, physical stuff that AI needs. We're talking chip companies, data center operators, energy producers. And the losers? Well, they're the companies built on human services that an AI can do cheaper, faster, and for basically nothing.
And you see this same weird paradox in something we all understand: housing. Think about it. The actual cost of building the four walls and a roof of a house. That's going to get way, way cheaper with AI design and robot construction. But the patch of dirt it sits on, the land, that is a truly scarce asset, and its value is expected to skyrocket as it becomes one of the few safe places to store wealth.
So, what's the takeaway from all this? It really boils down to a new mantra for the AGI: own scarcity. That's it. When anything that can be copied becomes worthless, the only real, lasting value is in the stuff that can't be copied. The unique, the physical, the irreplaceable.
So there you have it, the great divergence, a world of infinite digital stuff built on a very finite physical foundation. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. As AGI gets better and better at making perfect copies of almost everything, what's left that is truly, uniquely one of a kind? Because whatever that is, that's where the real value is going to be.